Consider spending a substantial $15 million on a gold mine, only to learn that the amount of gold found is less than you had hoped. This is precisely what happened to Parker Schnabel when he made the extra brave decision to go to Domino Creek and made a tremendous effort to secure it. Parker tried hard to establish and run the mine, but his excitement faded as he fought to turn a profit and stay out of debt. He hit the biggest haul ever on the show with his last attempts to do the most with this newly acquired land. Join us as we delve into how Parker Schnabel finds the biggest gold mine in history. Examining Alaska. Parker Schnabel had to reconsider his plan to mine in Alaska 20 miles north of Fairbanks. He called in his trusted right-hand man, Mitch Blasky, for assistance. As they traveled to the claim, Mitch questioned Parker about why he was looking for gold in Alaska. Parker claims that despite the area being deeper, it was still much richer than where they were mining at the time based on past experiences. Drilling test holes through closely packed clay ground would likely be a good trade-off. The previous year, Parker discovered a pay streak that was 4 times richer than his Yukon claims. Digging deep, however, is out of the question due to a 4-month delay in the wash plant he designed for this terrain. Parker and Mitchell encounter Elora, the daughter of the claim owner, and her husband. As they get to the claim, they greet each other before doing business. Parker's right-hand man must be persuaded of the claim's potential. Parker claims that Elora and her husband must persuade Mitch that running a business in Alaska is viable because Mitch is a difficult sell. Elora, the daughter of claim owner John Reeves, and her husband Drew believe they may be able to save their season on this historic pitch. Elora radiates optimism and seems to have something that would win Mitch over. She says she will show them the locations of her past successes and that there is much gold to find there. Parker was happy as they went on. The gang begins looking into the claim as they proceed through the field, and Mitch wonders what it might be after seeing an old dredge. He thinks it's an ancient dredging bucket that resembles a piece of the broken punch plate during the earthquake. It seemed like an old-fashioned Tremor screen, he continued. Parker agrees but thinks it is rather minimal. Mitch remarked that it is much tighter than what they have at Big Red compared to what they have there, where they are running an inch bottom deck. He felt that the more information they could get about the activities and methods of the old miners there. Elora makes conclusions based on her experience in the field, stating that the previous miners would have left behind any larger gold than they could have extracted, and that it would have been theirs to take. Mitch concurred, led by Elora. They explored a region mined in the early 1900s by going farther into the claim. Parker searches deeper into the claim for signs of gold by tracking some soil. However, he draws up his analysis as well and comes up empty. Elora confirmed Mitch's prediction that the entire area would consist of drift tailings, adding that they had drilled many holes. For Parker and Mitch, his right-hand man, it only follows that they will find gold in another pan if they find it in the first. This was common. Mitch felt forced to add that they had seen this happen countless times, so they were used to not finding gold panning. Elora sarcastically concurs that finding gold is tough despite this. Mitch is trying to piece together what the previous explorers did at the dredge site and concluded that shafts brought everything up. They drifted mine in this area, she said. As a result, there will be a layer that contains gold. Then Mitch steps in, seemingly understanding how the more seasoned miners would descend, pierce, and arrive at the pay stratum. The old-timers dug holes down to a depth of up to 100 feet through concrete, similar to permafrost, until they reached pay soil above bedrock. Subsequently, they moved horizontally, forming accessible tunnels and extracting the gold seam, carrying it to the surface where they used crude sieve boxes to filter the pay dirt and retain some gold in their tailing. Now that Mitch had a better idea of how the older miners had operated in the past, he could assume that there was gold left over for them to pick as they left a few behind. It would be incredibly easy pickings. Here at the summit, Parker and Mitch began to get significantly more optimistic about their prospects of making a big profit on this claim, possibly harboring hopes for a site that would eventually work. Parker entered the conversation while continuing to pan for gold. He said the drift was placed there as long as a century ago, and passed through some upper crude sieve boxes. He continued to pan, but in vain. It was now Elora's turn to show them where the gold was after he finally called her for the assistance Parker needed to complete the assignment. If Elora's studies prove correct, Parker and his right-hand man may see their dreams of moving the operation to Alaska quickly realized. She pointed to a mound of earth with a birch tree landed on it and said that birch trees with roots, gravel, and possibly gold grow out of them when tailings are present. When they finally reach a suitable spot, Elora leads as they march a few meters toward the mound. She handed Mitch the shovel and invited him to give it a go. Mitch returned the pan to Elora after filling it with dirt. Now it was time to open it and see what was within. If the old-timers have left gold in the tailings, Parker may be able to mine it rapidly and efficiently, which could change the game. After a few pannings, his wash plant showed up, and they finally had something to celebrate. Elora appeared excited after seeing some gold traces and called the other crew members, sure they would be curious about what she had found. Parker has always preferred panning. Based on his response, he was sorry that this was the cause of his frequent annoyance when panning. He always knows fools everywhere. But Elora doesn't give up hope that he might want to see inside the pan. She was holding sure that this would cheer Parker up. Parker's gold traces in the pan were visible as she cleaned the dirt out of it and noticed the gold dust poking out on the side. This was the greatest pan she had ever made. She couldn't help but remark that Parker glared at the pan in Elora's hands, expressing his enthusiasm as well. The squad hit the jackpot, and several were still in disbelief. Elora found it absurd that a piece of gold was that big there. The old-timers had not only left them with superb gold, but they had also left behind substantial losses that Parker and his team could mine immediately using any wash plant. Parker and his team appeared eager to seize this chance, as evidenced by the enormous potential for financial gain. Parker shouted to Mitch that they were on board, and that this was the beginning of an excursion in Alaska. He continued praising the plan, saying it was fantastic, speaking of the gold in it. Parker claimed that it made sense to smash it through a plant they had unexpectedly re-examined as their aim in Alaska, and they were encouraging signals that they would be transferring activities there given that they would need to relocate everything if they were going to mine there. Finally, Mitch acknowledged his happiness with the procedure, suggesting he had been convinced. It would serve as a good conclusion. He said he was sure they could have a terrific season there and wouldn't have to strip it if they could just sluice it. Indian Island. During Mitch and Parker's absence, Tyler Lee's main objective was to ensure that everything was proceeding according to plan and to give them confidence that they could rely on him to handle everything without worrying about anything during the week that Parker and Mitch were away. When they returned, a crew member there warmly welcomed Tyler and Mitch, and they greeted each other before talking business. As talks about their trip to Alaska began, Tyson asked about the state. They kept Big Red under Tyler's supervision at the airfield and completed the Yukon operation. Mitch then delves deeply into the conclusions drawn from their examination of the Alaskan claims. He told them the claim contained some drift tailings from the turn of the 20th century to prove that he knew the area. There's a fair bit of tailing there when the crewmen interrupt. Parker then reportedly dives straight in, claiming that the land may be as large as 50,000 yards according to him. The crewman was shocked at the extent of the claim. He claimed they were already high, hoping to make a fortune there. It suggested that they were continuing to take on extra work. Parker shot back, saying that what he said was true and that there was no stripping. He points out how important it is to show how dedicated they are to mining in Alaska to move some dirt. Before they accepted the fact, Tyler and the crew still had a mission at Indian Island to finish. That is immediately brought up by the crewman, who says they already had some dirt while Parker and Mitch were outside. He described how they could harvest some gold and how well the airstrip worked. He prepares Tyler to weigh the gold they have been chasing for the past week. It was Tyler's turn to demonstrate what they had been working on during Parker's absence. Tyler counts as they weigh, as the man starts to pour the ground gold fillets into a pan. Parker estimates that Big Red will produce about 1.8 ounces per hour at the airfield. This week, it operated for 90 hours. so it should yield about 160 ounces. Mitch and Parker are impressed when Tyson Lee counts up to 224.50 ounces of gold. They found that week much more than Parker had anticipated from them. For the week, Mitch thanked the staff for a job well done and stated his opinions straightforwardly and concisely. In the two veterans' absence, they had received gold to the tune of almost $400,000. Parker contributed, calculating the rate of their discoveries to be roughly 2.5 ounces each hour, much more than he had anticipated from the team. Even in their absence, he was motivated. That everything was still going properly gave him relief. As Mitch and the others begin to leave the cabin, the last employee, who had previously stated he was okay and didn't need help packing the gold, is left behind. Tyler was relieved that Mitch and Parker could easily leave the airstrip and everything would go as planned. Continued their work, finding gold and moving earth, and many more discoveries would come. Domino Creek. Once again they set to work on the money hole, and Mitch reported that they were working on a larger area this time around, roughly twice as large as the property they had worked on beside the Indian River the previous year. He knows Parker will receive gold from the land this time if he spends much money. Tyson discusses Parker's strain due to spending all his money and accruing debt for the project rather than having a large amount of money in the bank. He believes everyone must be afraid of going bankrupt because it will take time before they start seeing gold to pay off the debts. Parker Schnabel is taking all the risks necessary to build a large company. At 28, he spent all his pennies to purchase the $15 million Domino Creek claim. Parker claims that without even beginning the claim, there has been an insane and expensive spending binge. Parker's shopping binge might pay off handsomely if gold is discovered, as Dominion claim stands to earn as much as $160 million from 80,000 ounces of gold. Parker claims that, although it appears to be a nice property, it is somewhat difficult. Parker is having many difficulties this season as a miner. He has to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars each week to reach the pay layer, and there needs to be more money coming in to replace what is being lost. He might run out of money in 6 weeks at this pace. Parker affirms that there are likely 15 feet remaining, and he says it's quite annoying to have so much land and financial difficulties. He believes having a plan is the only way to finish this quickly. The Dominion claim is a remembrance of the laborers' contributions since the 1986 gold rush. Due to the poor dirt cleaning capabilities of their mining equipment at the time, a large amount of gold was left in waste tailings. Parker thought they could make quick cash when discovering old tailings near Gold Run Creek. He points out Gold Run, a very wealthy stream, and the location of its dump in Dominion, speculating that it was there since the two are close by and he believes the tailings contain gold. If so, that's great, because, as he acknowledges, there are no strippings, and they need the money because they're likely to go bankrupt very soon. Parker puts the tailings through a mini-trommel to determine whether there is enough gold. He says they must gather 40 buckets of tailings and go through them looking for gold. After searching, they weigh what they find to determine whether it represents good fortune. 3 quantities were estimated: 240 milligram, 190 milligram, and 226 milligram. Parker needs a small-scale test to yield at least 155 milligrams of gold for it to be worthwhile. Much disappointment resulted from the weight measurement, which was 54 milligrams. Parker expressed frustration at going through all that and only receiving 54 milligrams, which is far less than what they had estimated. Parker returned to discuss the situation with the boys and work out a plan of action. When Ty spoke with Tyson, she expressed her expectation that they would be the first to start bringing in the money to pay the bills. In response, Tyson expressed his optimism that they were sitting on a gold mine because they needed a productive day. Parker launched a second operation to obtain gold faster. To find out if Tyson was near paying dirt, he instructed him to dig a hole. Parker notices that Tyson is still working in 5 feet of dirt, contrary to his initial belief that he might be far ahead. Parker then realizes that he had misjudged how long it would take to work on the claim until they reached the pay dirt. The schedule went out of control and was far longer than expected. so he decided to enlist Tyson's assistance to expedite the task. Parker hoped to make quick gold to keep himself from going bankrupt, but this has derailed his hopes. After that, he loses hope of finding gold because of the setback and the time he has to spend. Freezing temperatures could result in gold loss. The problem was that there needed to be more land left for mining. Finding new Klondike ground was Parker Schnabel's challenge at the start of the season. The one assertion currently accessible, though, is more profound than any he has hitherto explored. He has spent $1 million in 5 weeks on pay dirt and is still there. Right now, Mud Mountain is the main emphasis. And if this cut doesn't work out, there are worries about the possible costs. Even with the difficulties, a lot is going on. Roughly 50 people are employed, and they still need to catch up. The airfield was 1 mile northwest, and Foreman Mitch Blaschke was trying to clear more ground there. Parker's investment in Mud Mountain is being covered by the steady stream of gold that Foreman Mitch Blaschke is making sure of. The remaining 22 acres of the airstrip cut leased from Tony Beats had to be mined. Last season, the airstrip produced a sizable amount of gold. Parker made large investments in Mud Mountain because he thought it would be a quick source of money. As he described the difficulties, he brought up the minute-by-minute fluctuations in the weather in Yukon, which are comparable to those in Vancouver. Prolonged challenges were created by the Yukon's record snowfall and bitter cold winter. He turned to Tatiana and asked her about the work still being done. She informed him this would be the last scoop and that stuff needed to be stocked. Reflecting on the challenges, he expressed the unusual situation that typically occurs at the season's end, not the beginning. Parker's lone operational wash plant, Lucifer, suffered heavy losses while idle because the cold prevented the ground from thawing. Even though it would produce less gold at the end of the week, they intended to run it on a night shift and store thawed material during the day to function 24 hours a day, eventually. It took days with lots of sunshine to properly defrost the ground. He acknowledged that all hands were on deck at the airstrip and emphasized Parker Schnabel's contribution to material movement and the mission ahead. He talked about the difficulties of being away from home, particularly for Parker, who indicated that he wanted to complete the work and return home with his family as soon as possible. Despite the difficulties, they had a stockpile ready and were prepared to resume Lucifer. At last, the group has accumulated enough dirt to power Lucifer for a full day. To thaw the earth and pass it through the wash plant, they have been working on exposing all of the frozen sections. Making money while cleaning rocks is a nice feeling. They are currently functioning as a team and keeping everyone in sync, which is crucial. Getting the gold inside the container is the aim. Parker depends on the gold Mitch and Tyson mine from the airstrip cut because Mud Mountain hasn't been stripped yet. However, the plant was down for 36 hours due to the lack of pay. The team goes ahead and counts the gold. They're hoping for over 200 ounces with their runtime. The count reveals 234.60 ounces, worth over $420,000, beating the season average by 23 ounces. It's considered good, especially with the consistency, averaging almost 2.2 ounces per hour, similar to the previous year. Chris the Egg cleans up another 230 ounces in this cleanup, bringing the season total to about 656.45 ounces. Acknowledging the team's efforts, there's gratitude for their hard work despite battling struggles. The challenges included frozen ground requiring an all-hands-on-deck approach. Parker even contributed by snowplowing himself out in a rock truck. The sentiment is that if such efforts are what it takes to put gold on the table, they will do that. The largest known gold nugget discovered. In Victoria's Golden Triangle, around 2,500 metric tons of gold have been found since Australia's first significant gold rush in 1851. Geologists say millions of tons are still out there waiting to be discovered. Parker stumbled into a massive gold nugget in Victoria, a city well known for its large gold and plenty. Nearly $3 million worth of gold bars were created by melting down the original Welcome Stranger. Tyler clarified that they had gained some territory surrounding the potential. He said he had made arrangements with Ray Murray, the owner of large mining holes on the site. He expressed hope and inquired whether a small test trommel or screen deck might be found, costing about $8,000 or $10,000. Tyler recommended they use his connections to see if they could buy one. Tyler and Fred set out to find a mini wash plant in the south, enabling Parker to test any gold-bearing earth they encountered. Parker and Danny set out to explore the Hard Rock mine from the first Victoria gold rush, traveling 8 kilometers to German Gully. Tyler acknowledged that he was unaware of the hard rock component and showed curiosity regarding the amount of hard rock in Australia. He wondered if that would work well in the Yukon. In a week, $1 million worth of gold was discovered. Parker is allegedly required to mine in Alaska this season, or risk forfeiting a $180,000 deposit worth 100 ounces. Additionally, they said hello to Tyson, informed him that Mitch and they would be spending a few days in Alaska, and stressed the need to keep the good vibes flowing. While away, they were concerned about Tyson's ability to manage things. They wanted to secure the mine's future and allow Mitch and Parker to go to Alaska by demonstrating their management skills. They were eager to visit Alaska but hesitated to travel as they needed more companions. As they discussed the difficulties, they decided to sprint side by side to obtain 450 ounces and $800,000 worth of gold by the end of the week. Although they were slipping behind and understood Tyson had a lot on his plate, they pledged to assist without creating any issues. They laughed as they discussed building a ditch and having dirt pile up. They told them about Jacob McClure, the new person cleaning up the remaining dirt and checking for problems. They explained their problem with Big Red's dirt conveyor and how they would remedy it by hand. Despite issues, they claimed to have restored functionality. They discussed Tyson's hectic week overseeing 2 wash plants and specific details about Tyson's success as a manager. They discussed finding a new wash plant in Alaska, among other positive things. When they were done, they announced the week's gold production and expressed confidence in their ability to accomplish it again. They concluded by expressing gratitude and acknowledging everyone's hard work. 59 ounces of gold found. Throughout his 10th season in the Klondike, Parker Schnabel's quest for gold was unquenchable. He pushed his team to mine more territory than they had previously, because their license was about to expire. Instead of splitting off and launching a second claim, the decision was made to go closer to Alaska. Parker stated that the airstrip's 90 acres should be used for pay dirt. It was worth nearly $3 million. The team had already mined 1,500 ounces and stripped 40 acres. They thought they were getting close to their objectives, and their excellent team was credited with the success. An 11-acre easy street cut was destroyed by Parker's wash plant, Big Red. Moving the 50-ton beast 500 feet was necessary to team up with Lucifer to tackle the 23-acre Bear Cut. Bear Cut depended on 2 plants for the entire season, so there was a lot of pressure. Even though we were halfway there, getting Big Red set up in the Bear Cut and minimizing downtime were the priorities. Crucial jobs were setting up the 100-foot-long radial stacker and hauling Big Red onto the 15-foot-high pit. It highlighted how intricate the radial stacker was and how there was no space for error. Though powerful winds may cause problems, the crew anticipated a seamless unfolding. Tyson ensured the drop was lovely and calm by being mindful of the wind's swinging effects. They overcame difficulties with the radial stacker, such as a tire coming off the bead and a flat on a power wheel. Big Red fired up, igniting a period of tough but hopeful times with 2 wash plants operating and chaos erupting. The group acknowledged that simultaneously setting up 2 wash plants required much work and complexity. It was acknowledged that Parker had some gold and that he wished to make 50,000. They made light of unexpected problems with the grizzly bars and the necessity for a mechanic. Seeing the 2 plants running side by side was considered significant as it indicated a new stage. The crew's progress towards reaching a career milestone of 50,000 ounces was described, with 290 ounces still to be brought in. The team should have updated Parker on their progress while they worked towards this milestone. Chris informed Parker that the crew had reached the 50,000 ounces mark, and the team's contribution to Parker's career was celebrated. The suggestion to pour one out for Grandpa John was made and accepted to show appreciation for the crew's part in Parker's accomplishment. Even though Parker's journey has included successes and challenges which are often unavoidable, none have deterred him from striving for even greater success and accomplishment. One of the world's most determined gold seekers, Parker and his team have produced incredible results that have astounded many. However, they are not the only ones with tenacity. Our NYE durable cases are made to both protect and enhance the appearance of your phone. With its sleek, glossy surface and dual layers of security, the durable case strikes the ideal mix between practicality and fashion. To get yours right away, click the link in the description below. Thank you for watching. While you are still here, kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more intriguing videos like this. Share your thoughts and views with us too in the comment section. See you soon.